I know what you're thinking. BlameF on Inferno. I would rather die. Okay, and that's fair. That's a fair response. To be honest, I agree with you. However, I want to show you... I know what you're thinking. BlameF on Inferno, that makes me want to die. However, I'm going to show you why BlameF is actually entertaining. And, well, to be honest, I actually think he's probably a pretty good IGL, and he was kind of done dirty on Astralis. Now, the question is BlameF a baiter? And I've got a whole video on this where I say kind of, sort of, yeah, maybe. And it really depends on who you ask, because a lot of the time he's just doing what his team is telling him to do. When he's not the IGL, specifically my video was, I believe, when he wasn't IGLing. A lot of the time he is just doing what his team is telling him to do, but sometimes he does make plays that I kind of feel like are pretty baity, in that they're clearly plays that he's making of his own volition. They're after the round breaks down, and he's a little too oftentimes focused, in my opinion, on making sure he engages only in very high chance, high percentage gunfights, which is generally, by the way, really good idea. As a player, if you're playing, do that. Take high percentage gunfights. Players like Rops do that. Players like Frozen do that. Nico, all the good riflers that don't wash up after a year and a half because their aim gets 10% worse, and all of a sudden it turns out that that's what you need if you're taking bad gunfights. All of the good riflers, they play high percentage gunfights. But BlameF, like I feel that Rops did when he was near the end on Maus, sometimes seems to take over focus on that when he could potentially have a chance to give his team, you know, maybe a round win. However, with all that said, I think on Fnatic, I've heard that it's not quite the same. I think he's playing a bit more aggressive on Fnatic. That's what people have told me. So I'm in here. I'm coming through to verify the data. Anyways, dualies, that's an aggressive player weapon. You don't see passive players, you don't see baiters using dualies, do you? And that's actually just a really good play to fall back there. He was kind of stuck in the middle of the open. He's really relying on Crims to get multiple kills there. And there's nothing wrong with what he did. I know what you guys are thinking. You guys are thinking, damn, Vu, why didn't he just turn around and fight the player on the stairs there? But if you've ever watched a pro game, you've probably seen... Well, it doesn't happen every game, but you've probably seen a round where that happens, where BlameF turns around and then he gets killed by a guy jumping in window, because he's really not meant to turn around there, and you have to have trust in your teammates. So he trusts Crims to do his job, and Crims' job isn't to kill 5 people coming through apartments. Crims' job is to kill 1, maybe 2, and after that, he's supposed to bait the player window to peek out on BlameF. That's his job. Crims did his job, but there was 3 players there. So at that point, it doesn't really, at that point, it doesn't really matter anymore. Oh my God. Is it? Dude, this is sick. Tell me this is sick. Tell me this is sick. Okay, I thought dude, why you bait me like that, BlameF? I thought this was going to be like a 5-man boost. It was going to be like so insane that we're jumping on the thing. By the way, you don't need a boost to jump on this thing on the left. If you jump on it correctly, you can just get straight on top of it. Okay, so BlameF doesn't... No, he does have a kill. We missed it. That's too bad. But first gun round, he actually buys head armor. Should he be buying head armor? Class, answer me this. Should he be buying head armor? I think it's really personal preference. Generally, in this case, I would definitely go no head armor, because I'd rather just have a nade or a flash. To me, I feel like it's a lot more valuable. However, so here's the thing. If you know they have a bunch of Mac 10s, like at least one Mac 10, you for sure want head armor. But with Galils, it's a little bit more suspect. Should you be buying head armor or not? Well, I don't know. I could see people going either way. Personally, I think it depends on the position you're playing. If I'm playing lane, I'm going head armor. I think lane is a head armor position. If I'm playing arch, I feel like I'm probably not going head armor. I have more opportunity to use my utility a little bit more effectively, and being able to have like a flash, for example, when I rotate over to B, probably a pretty big deal. But BlameF is also playing an angle in a way that, like, that's how you utilize having no utility, this type of angle that he was playing. Anyways, Afro was already lit, so he's going to end up dying, and then BlameF is just going to end up in this spot, which is uncomfortable. It's certainly an uncomfortable position. He's just going to have to land some shots, and he doesn't. Okay, before you click off and you're like, Vu, why did you pick a terrible game from BlameF? I looked at the stats, and he top frags, okay? So he definitely must do something good. Now, when I look at actually BlameF on Astralis, people will cite his entry statistics, that he entries on a pretty high percent of rounds compared to other riflers. And, well, that's true. But there was a couple of things that were behind his entry statistics that you have to actually dig a little deeper to see. Because when it was on Astralis, he entried a lot on CT side. Oftentimes, he was entering with setup. He would entry with, you know, they would set him up to get good entries on CT side, and that's where he'd be getting most of his kills. And on T side, you would do it on anti-ecos. That's why I have that whole data sheet of on is BlameF a baiter. Okay, so here, this angle, if you're playing it in your own games, by the way, I would probably not do that jiggle unless you're playing at a high level. I think at lower levels, typically people turn around to clear the cubby, but at higher levels, that spot is so meta that people will just hard clear you there, and they'll accept that you need to trade on the cubby. As you saw in the previous round, that cubby player is going to get a kill probably anyways. So they accept the reality of needing to trade on there sometimes, and you can peek. I think you should. Damn, I'm not 100% sure. It's close. I think you might be able to peek and clear that angle BlameF was in without being vulnerable to the cubby necessarily. Well, depending on where they're playing it. But I think generally you're going to get peeked there a lot if you're playing high-level players. So you want to jiggle that maybe if you're at a higher level, and just hold it static if you're at a lower level. By the way, this is one of the most underrated angles. This angle gets me so many fucking kills. Not this part. It's this part where he's uncrouching, because you know what happens? Dude, I'm so hyped about this angle. Okay, so people come here, they look across. They're like, are you at headshot level? No. And then they're like, well, okay then. And then they clear this, and you just sit at this angle here, and you look at the headshot angle. So when their head gets up to the top of these stairs, they're looking this way, you get the free kill this way. It's such free kills. It's like freelo, dude. It's so insane. I've gotten thousands. I don't think I've ever died doing that, except for when I've whiffed horrifically bad. I don't think nobody has ever gone to the top of those stairs still been looking at boiler this early in the round. Anyways, MP9 in hand. He's got head armor this time for good reason. Usually you expect the MP9 to play pretty aggressive when he buys it, specifically because they're on an eco. You know, you can farm a bit of money. Now, I think some teams overplay. Oh, nice nade. Oh my god. That is a fucking chunky nade. Dude, is that like the most highest damage nade ever? Dude, that's got to be in contention. These guys were all like 100 health before, right? He literally puts 4 people down. We got to watch this back, dude. We got to watch this shit back. That is fucking, oh my god, dude. Oh my god. Is this the highest damage nade of all time? I might post this on Twitter, dude. This is wild. Because they're all like high health, right? Tell me they're all high. 48, okay. He's not high health, okay. 100. Oh my god. How much damage was that? Anyways, I think a lot of people... 300 IQ by Grim, by the way. TK is teammate, so the MP9 doesn't get 600. I think a lot of people over aggro with the MP9. They run straight down mid on rounds like that sometimes. And sure, that there is effect in that. It's not like it's crazy, but you do lose, you know, MP9 dying, you're losing 1,200. It is way too cheap, by the way. It really needs to be made more expensive. You're losing the MP9, plus you're losing the armor. Plus, you're giving them a chance to pick up the MP9 and maybe get something done, because the MP9 is very strong. I think pushing down mid with the MP9 makes more sense when you're looking at like a semi-buy. You're looking at pistol armor. You're looking at, you know, Galils and maybe some MAC-10s and stuff. I think that's when it makes a lot of sense to push down mid. Playing in boiler like that, I really do actually like it as an MP9 play. When you're playing against what you believe to be more of a full save. And if you're paying, you can't always tell, but if you're paying good attention, you can definitely tell the difference a lot of the time, especially this early into the game. You can definitely tell the difference between should they be buying here or saving or forcing. And certain teams are fairly readable in the way they're doing it. So Complexity, I did a review on them that I just released a little bit earlier, and Complexity was looking pretty good, and Astralis was looking pretty bad, because, oh, sorry, I forgot Fnatic, or BlameF isn't on Astralis. Astralis was looking pretty bad, but unfortunately, Complexity don't make the playoffs. And this game is one of the reasons why. But you know, the main reason why is because they lost the fucking Furia and they lost like 5 other teams, okay? But BlameF there didn't really do anything. I think maybe you got a kill. Here, you want to manage your aggression. You want to be getting some aggressive plays and not. And keep in mind, there's some mollies that I'm not sure if they're strong anymore. This molly into here, I'm not sure if it's that strong anymore. I think it probably is, but this molly here, a ton of teams were throwing a molly on the stairs there. I'm not sure that molly is very strong anymore. I think BlameF's molly there has more reason to be stronger, because if someone's in there, you're going to hear them jumping out instead of them having to wait for it. So I think mollies are going to have to be used in a slightly more specific way in since the molly update, but teams haven't adjusted yet because there's been very little time for teams to adjust, and I think it takes a while for the pro meta to catch up to changes. Just especially because they've been playing so much. I think after player breaks, for example, I think that's when you really see big changes because people have kind of thought about it, even if they're not really necessarily playing. BlameF is playing very aggressive here. This is one of the things I do really like about BlameF. I feel like his CT side is always quite aggressive, but calculated aggression. You know, aggression in ways that make a lot of sense. And BlameF does have crazy good aim. That's a really nice fucking shot on Floppy. Floppy's probably got to get that kill though. Floppy does what I'll call, I want to show you this because that's what it looks like to me. I believe this is what I'll call an obligation clear. Maybe there's a different name for it. You see that? He looks at the spot, but there's somebody, but he's not actually ready for it. So he ends up looking away. When you're clearing things just, you know, in your own games, definitely make sure you clear it. Always clear angles as if someone's there. Like, pretend in your mind, visualize a player there, because if Floppy hard cleared that, not even like a better clear, but he was just ready for it, he gets that kill. Or he at least like dinks him or something. He does a lot of damage. So really good utility usage. He's got to wait out the smoke, and Afro needs to give him time to wait out that smoke, right? I want to watch this from Afro's POV, because Afro gets a kill here, and then what's he doing? Is he searching for the next player? He's looking. I don't like that play from Afro. So it looks like they know that the player is backside. That's why Afro is like looking like that. But there's a molly dark, right? So the player can only be on top or in front. And I feel like at that point, you probably just want to hold, right? You don't want to give him a chance to peek out on you quite like that. But I don't know. Maybe he's thinking he's probably not expecting BlameF to come through the smoke, because BlameF shouldn't be going through that smoke. Nothing BlameF did there was weird at all. BlameF just... Sometimes BlameF also gets... he gets the blame sometimes for things that literally aren't his fault, where sometimes his teammates will do something over aggressive and it'll make it look like he's baiting, but actually what happened is he was making the smart play and they were just like not ready for it. They were expecting him to make a play that he really shouldn't be making, you know? That happens sometimes too. But here, man, he's been ending up in a lot of retakes, eh? Not a lot going on for BlameF, but he's doing a pretty good job. Nice little nade that almost gets him killed. That's hilarious. The re-smoke puts him in a really bad spot, so they will have to come through if they want to go for it. Oh, but Afro dies and they decide to save. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, in a situation like this, look, they have a ton of money, but man, if you ever thought you had a lot of money, you could so be misled in CS. Complexity has 2 players die in pit, bro. Come on, Complexity. You're supposed to be winning. This money fucking evaporates. Look at this. They had 2 players survive. They were 6-2 up. They had 2 players survive. This money evaporates so fast if you're not paying attention. You know, if you think you have lots of money and you can get away with it, it evaporates so fast. Nice little angle from BlameF, by the way. You'll notice he has a specific lineup. People have this to get to this spot where his head's not going to be spotted by JT. They can jump to spot him, but that's got its own problems. So... see, JT doesn't notice his head. Floppy isn't going to notice his head either, but he's ready for the peak mid, and BlameF stands up into it. That's the problem. Yeah, you can see this. Okay, hold on. Let's get this from Floppy's POV. BlameF, Floppy's looking just at mid, but then he stands up, and Floppy moves just as he stands up. Yeah, and that just doesn't work out for him. That's too bad. Yeah, that's a great angle from BlameF. People are ready for that. Generally at lower levels, to be honest, I feel like you just walk in, you just walk forward and you're gonna have a good angle. And you have to be careful, I think, what you try and steal from pros, because pros are playing against other pros, or at least high-level players that know the common plays and are going to be expecting them, and are going to use utility and communicate well enough to know what's going on across the map. Whereas if you play it at lower levels, you're going to notice that people just won't be ready for that type of thing. If you just get to a good angle, they're just going to walk into you with no flash, and you're going to get the kill. But pros are, you know, using their utility well. So double up in Arch. Crim's going to make first contact. BlameF strafes out to support. Really like that play. Could have gotten 2 kills there. It would have been really sick if he did. Once Crims gets 2, you can it's kind of awkward, right? Because once Crims gets 2 here, you're thinking, as BlameF, you're thinking like, damn, dude, if I just stayed back and like just got 1, that would be so much better. But you have to keep in mind, you're going to watch where Floppy's pre-aiming here. He's going to pre-aim the corner, right? Oh boy, aim lock. Aim lock. Dan M. Where are you? Dan M with the aim lock. But he's going to be pre-aiming the next corner. So even though you're thinking in your head like, damn, if he knew Crims was going to get those 2 kills, maybe he just plays back on the site because they already have like the advantage. However, at the same time, you still want to be putting yourself in the best spot to get kills. And if you have a good enough advantage, you don't really want to give that up just because it's, you know, you're in a slight advantage if you don't die, right? When you can get yourself a really good advantage. And the spray down, Halzerk and Floppy, the key there is that they're not ready to trade on BlameF. So their spacing was really bad because they're not expecting BlameF at that corner. They're just trying to scale before the rotate gets there, because the reason Floppy's pre-aiming Moto is because that's where the rotate is going to come from if they're not already doubled up on the spot. So BlameF going wide there, really, really clever. I mean, really, really clever? No, it's just one really, I think, was sufficient. It was definitely very clever. To go wide there. But I want to look here, because Mattis has already made contact, then BlameF comes here, and BlameF spams. I can see why he did that. I mean, it's not a bad idea for him to spam, especially because his teammate's going to be pushing through the smoke at the same time. But they have to be careful, because I think Body also shot earlier in the round. So they kind of did notify Complexity that they had 3 players there. But I think they notified them. I think the AK hadn't shot for a while. So there's some level of assumption that the AK certainly could have gone and rotated over to A. Because if the AK shot, then the M4 shot, and then BlameF spammed, then you've got a situation where the T's can be like, well, fuck that, we're going A, right? So do have to be careful about that timing to some extent, but I think the AK shot long enough prior. And I think BlameF's spam there, the intention... Oh my god, dude, BlameF's aim is so crispy, man. The intention of that spam really is that it kind of... The angles where... Mattis? Sorry, I've never heard these names by casters before. The point is he was spamming an angle there, which is the angle that will kill his teammate as he goes through that smoke. So the concept of it is really, really good, and that makes up for any like downside, I think. Like the upside is very, very clearly very large, right? So BlameF P250. Let's just watch this one again. BlameF P250 armor. Gonna make his way over to logs. Great angle. You're probably not gonna get naded here most of the time. Really nice shot. He probably has to be peeking with Floppy or with his teammate there, I feel like. Because his teammate's mollied out, but I think he might also be thinking, like, is he also thinking here? Yeah, I think that's exactly what he's thinking. He like backs. Oh yeah. So sorry. Part of what I was thinking is that he was trying to make space for his teammate, so his teammate could jump into logs if he wanted to. It looked like that might have been what he was thinking, because he did strafe forward, but maybe it's not. But he's also still worried about that top banana push, because you can't just. You know, we know from radar that there was nobody top banana, but you can't only be worried about that, about bottom mid, because top banana is often where you'll die from. Now, with that in mind, the way the CT was playing at top banana is the way he looked more like a solo player than a duo player, the way he was playing. If you have multiple players there, you know, he's probably peeking with his teammate, or his teammate is going to be a ways away. So I think probably BlameF just wants to be peeking with his teammate at bottom banana there, but that's not like a bait. He's not like baiting his teammate there. I think he's just like delayed the peek for a second because he's worried about top banana, and you know that it ended up going poorly. And here, this again, not baiting. Okay, I want to be clear. This is definitely not baiting. He's backing up because they want to lock the CTs in. Now, the only question mark is, should he be doing this with an AK? That's something I kind of am not a huge fan of. Like, it's cool to do it with the AK, but if your team all has Galils, I would much prefer, I feel like, if BlameF was top mid with the AK and Afro went back to cover banana instead of BlameF going back to cover banana, because BlameF now is going to be fighting at this angle here. And of course, the goal is not to die, obviously. But if you do die in this situation and he's like really, he's very, I don't think he should be, I don't know, man. I'm not a pro player, but I feel like he probably shouldn't be committing so hard to that spray. He should be focused more on surviving there, I feel like, especially, again, because he has the AK. He's got his team's only AK. And then now look at this buy from Complexity. They've got an AK that they otherwise wouldn't have had. And the difference between giving your opponents an AK and a Galil is pretty large, right? Like, it is a big deal giving your opponents an AK instead of a Galil into the following round. So I just... Could they have done it where the Galil, where he went top mid instead of his teammate? I think the timing probably didn't work out, but maybe they could have just adjusted things. Like, in that specific instance, could he have swapped with his teammate? I don't know. I don't think the timing necessarily works out, and I don't think he's really thinking about it like that. But could they have set up the scenario so it's more likely? Because I guarantee you in scrims, they're in those types of situations all the time. And when you do that in a scrim, then you go, okay, so we want to make sure that the situation we're setting up is one where the Galil is the one that goes back instead of the AK. I feel like you could be planning on that from scrims. This round, it's, I feel like, very different. Because this round, they're already playing against, you know, a certain type of buy, and the round's not over, right? So in this case, in the previous round, the reason he went back to look banana was because the round was basically over. Here, the round is not over. So you're not thinking about this type of situation in terms of like, do we want to give them an AK in the next round? In this moment, you're thinking, how do we win the round, right? So going back to check banana, making sure you're not getting flanked is a good way to do it. And then he actually lurks into the smoke. He tries to pull a smoke criminal play here, and it's going to work perfectly on JT. So BlameF, he actually does kind of win his team this round. He's got a really good read of that banana push. I think he might have heard it, but I have my sound on quite low in these reviews, so it's hard to tell. But he had a read on the banana push, turns around, kills it, doesn't stick around for too long, and because he didn't stick around, JT was kind of looking around, where'd BlameF go? Is he going to try and come after me too? JT's taking his time, and BlameF at the same time is taking up a lot of space, gets into a really good spot, and does a great job. And here, nice shot. That's a nice shot. I think Halzerk whiffs here though, doesn't he? Does Halzerk whiff on this one? Here's the smoke. Yeah, Halzerk. This is not that easy of a shot. Oh, he gets blinded. Okay. Did he get blinded enough not to be able to see BlameF, or did he get like flash blinded, like flicker blinded? Right? There's got to be a word for that. Flicker. It's just a flicker. Did he just get like flickered? And then he's thinking like, okay, he should still hit that shot. I don't know. You've really got to make sure you're definitely hitting. You're definitely very comfortable with that shot if you're going to go for the play, because you shouldn't take 50 damage, I don't think, but you should take like 30 from the Molotov. I'm watching this because I think this might be the last round of the game. Is it? They go back A. It's Elige is here. Elige should be able to lock this down. Yeah, there's the lockdown. Oh! Both players are injured, though, right? No, they're not. Actually, they're not injured. They've got a good timing. JT's going to be here, but Afro's ready for it. Yeah. Nice shot from JT. And now Matisse. I think this guy, is he French? Isn't he French? Matisse. He's in a pretty good position, but the trade... Oh, that one's tough. That position, it's simultaneously really easy to play. It looks like when pros do it, but then if you do it yourself, it's like fucking impossible, because you get the first kill for sure, free, and then the second kill, you have to... That one's a little bit tougher, and you have to strafe out and actually hit a nice shot. Anyways, BlameF there. Very little baiting. Some really good play. Maybe he overhunted a couple of times. You know, The round with the AK, I'm not. I didn't like that he like committed to the second kill instead of just getting one and backing up. But actually, when I think back about that AK play, maybe I'm just I'm forgetting that there was his teammate died top mid, so he actually couldn't have kind of gotten out. Yeah, actually, okay. Someone's gonna clip that and be like, "Vu, you have no idea what you're talking about. There was nobody top mid. He couldn't back up the top mid." I'm thinking they had nobody top mid. If they had somebody top mid covering his top mid, then he probably just needs to not commit and back up. And if they didn't, then that play from him was just a bit of a whiff. I mean, he should be getting that second kill most of the time anyways. But yeah, no real baiting from BlameF, just well played. And a couple of really good plays from him, which is what you're expecting. I mean, BlameF gets way too much hate, man. I feel like BlameF is an insanely good player. Maybe he's not, as good as the stats might suggest, because the stats say he's like one of the best players ever almost. But like, he is an insanely fucking good player. He's one of the best riflers in the world. And the fact that he managed to like end up on Fnatic, and no hate to Fnatic, Crim's one of my favorite players of all time, but Fnatic has not been making big moves, which suggests he was pretty low on the pecking order. Like, he was not like a super hot prospect type of thing, is kind of crazy. And if Fnatic are going to get Cadian, which is like the new like theory that people think Fnatic might get Cadian, that's going to be a fucking wild roster. That's going to be crazy, dude. I feel like that could go really, really hard. And then in typical NACS fashion, they'll probably beat Liquid at the next major.